Linda is here. Rita?
Here.
Caulfield, Donna?
Here.
John?
Here.
Elyville, Dee Dee is online. And Joy is not. Gaffney, Betty?
Betty.
And
Here.
Dwayne?
Here. And here.
Hazel Grove, Chris? Mark?
Here.
Hallandale, Sarah? And me? McLaughlin, Amy?
Here.
Tim?
Here.
Or plays Ryan?
Here.
And South End, Bill?
Here.
Kathy?
Here.
And Hannah is here. And Adam is not. Scott is.
And Joy is an excuse absence for the she reached out.
Is it?
All right. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Scott Burns as our first speaker of the year. Scott Burns is my favorite rock star. He is also the professor of engineering and geology, and he will be talking about the Missoula floods and how Oregon City was formed. It's all yours, Scott.
Well, thank you very much. Now, just for you to keep on the back to me. Okay. Well, thank you. I enjoy coming to Oregon City. I've been doing this now for 30 years because you guys have a very wild and crazy geology down here. And so one of our specialties in Portland State are landslides, and you guys have more landslides than any other place in Portland. So we've studied most of it, and it's been good. But I was asking down a little bit about the Missoula floods, which is one of the greatest geological events of the Pacific Northwest and affected this whole area here, the whole Willamette Valley, and go down to the waterfall down on the river down here. That was probably 500 feet high as the floods were coming. Each one of the floods came through. And so I have to summarize the Canada's it's on Columbia in just about 20 to 30 minutes, right?
Or more. If you need another 10,
Okay.
you've got lots of questions.
So let's see if this is going to work.
Working? Oh, try that.
There we go. First of all, it is a story of J. Harlan Bretz, the geologist, that put all this idea together way back in the 1890s and 20s, stuff like that. And he worked in Eastern Washington, and he saw all of these incredible landforms. And he said, it sure looks like we had huge floods that came down through Eastern Washington, down to Columbia Gorge, and down into the Portland area. And geologists said, no, catastrophic floods are not possible in geology. But he stuck to the guns and eventually outlived all the detractors and said that he was right. Just to show you, the pointer's not going to work. The whole story in one slide. There was a large glacier that covered both of Canada, and one huge, I could actually stand up. I'm not doing that. And what happened is it came down the Monterey Valley and blowing up the Carbon Fork River that's coming out here and created the Great Lake. Eventually, an ice dam broke, and all that water came down from Eastern Washington, scouring out all these channels. We call it channel scourlands. All the water got back into the Columbia River below the gap, and then came down in through Portland. In Portland, some of the water went out into the ocean. Some of it went through Lake Oswego. Some of it filled up the Willamette Valley, and then the water went back out. And then the dam reformed, and we had over 90 different floods that occurred over this period of time. So glad, and we call those them all together the Missoula floods. This was put together by a guy named J. Harlan Bretz. Here it is, young J. Harlan Bretz, U.S. Geological Survey vehicle, grad students out there, Eastern Washington, mapping the whole area. And he kept on seeing these incredible valleys out there. And he said, wow, it looks like water that created these. And then you see dry falls. He said, wow, he visited and being a huge waterfall like this. And everybody said, you got to be kidding. Uh, and then huge gravel bars along all of the rivers. And then just outside, the big current ripples just outside of Wenatchee that you got today. And then lakes all over Eastern Washington. And he called these the Channel Scantlets. And you could see some of these small little areas out there. Then you keep down at the Columbia Gorge, you could just see how high some water it got in the past, and not in the mirror, but it's up there. Here, those are the early Missoula floods, because floods today only get about this high on the Columbia River. And so he put together a map way back in 1923, and he called it Missoula flood, one flood. But since that time, we come up with many more. This was a big controversy that we had with the U.S. Geological Survey, because they said you just can't have big floods like this. And all the geologists of the day, and the famous geologist, James Billy, wrote it, the textbook that I learned geology at Stanford years ago, they say you're wrong. And even Richard Foster Flint, Ira Allison, professor down at Oregon State University, you're wrong. You can't have big, huge floods like this. But then there was a geologist named T. Pardee who wrote science. And he said, if you go out eastern Washington, you'll see all these incredible ripples. It looks like the alarm flame came through here at one time. And so he put a paper out in 1942 about the rapid emptying of glacial Lake Missoula. And I guess it'd be struck down a little bit. I don't know what happened, but yeah, it's okay. That's okay. I'm just going to keep going.
Okay.
Yeah. And so here's Jarrod over here. He put that paper out many years ago. And the geologists, so they said, no, that's not right. And then eventually what happened was he was vindicated. And they did, the guy came to the photo there. Well, can't go back. It doesn't matter. Went down next in Eastern Washington. And what he did, eventually we'll get to it. Go back. Back. Okay. All right. There we go. So this is Vic Baker. He and I both did our PhDs at University of Colorado, and he put together the early story in Kafka's was the Columbia, the pre-Missoula floods. Richard Waite, who's now a geologist and U.S. Geological Survey across the river, picked up on this, and he's done additional work for that area. Anytime you have a large flood that comes down in through an area, and then the water stops. The biggest particles will come out first, and then the finer ones, and then the finest ones, the empty bed. That's called a graded bed. And now it's not working. There. And so here is an area of near Tucson, Washington. And so the early geologists said, wow, what are these different layers? So they went out and looked at these, and then the bottom there's sand, and then they graded up into silt. And the sand they graded down into silt, and Richard and then towards the top, there was ash and in Pacific Northwest. Anytime we see a white layer, we get very excited because it's a volcanic eruption. We can take a sample, we send it up to Washington State, they say, oh, it's such an eruption, give it a day for which volcano. And so we knew the date on that particular one. And early other people that we had, right, Atwater also found similar graded beds, just like that I showed you there at Blue Lagoon. And each one of those was one of the different floods. These are what we call rhythmites. And then we started dating them. And originally, radiocarbon dating, the oldest one was 15,000 years ago, then 12,700 years ago. Now, we'd say, basically, we had all these floods between 15 and 18,000 calendar years ago. 40 events got down to the Portland area. The 90 events they came out through Spokane. And if you look at all of the major floods in the world, freshwater floods, this is the second largest, the Missoula floods. The largest one in Altai, Russia. I think I have a picture of that showing up. Maybe.
Trying to fixate these on demand.
No flag. Okay. Here's all kind of Russian, where the other one was there. And so that's the story of the floods. What happened was, here's up the mineral way to Schuylkill Valley was completely filled up with ice. And reached down and dammed up to make the river. Coming out and was creating a lake all the way back, as we call it, Glacial Lake in Missoula. And if you go up to Missoula, there's the University of Missoula, the arch enemies of Portland State. They kick our butts every year. But if you look back here, you can see lines. You can see those lines. Each one of those are the lines of the ancient glacial lake Missoula. And they counted them up, and they have 50 plus ones. Or you go down one of the other valley areas, and you can see light and dark bananas. And these are also created by these floods in the past. And so in the bottom I give that there was a large ice sheet that came down here and down on the major Columbia River, and that eventually they did the lake the ice dam road, and you had different floods that are coming out either down gradually or the most cruelly or across eastern Washington. I wish you could really see this a little bit better, but that's both of the that you have got. But you can see all across eastern Washington, all of these floods for the past. And then every time I drive from here up to Spokane, it's, oh my God, here's another coulee, and it is exciting from the floods that you got in the past. Here is the last bad photo that was given to Jane Harlan Rips. And years ago, it's a satellite photo, and you just see all of these. He said, boy, man, nothing would have been a lot better and a lot easier than in the 1920s if I had been at that time. Or all you got to do is go through the potholes area near Quincy, and you can see, look at all these gigantic, huge holes that were cut out by those. And all that water had to go right through a little gap. This is where the Columbia comes from Washington into Oregon. And then this is all washed out. But the water gets come down here, and then it caused the lake to go all the way back up to there, and then eventually it came down. So that lake was what we call Lake Lewis. Here is the little gap out here, went all the way back up to Yakima and all the way up to Moses Lake on the UFC. But what happened is all the sediment that was here came out. And each one of those layers that you see here in Burlingame Canyon is one of the floods. And Richard Waite was just sitting having lunch one day, and he put those things. I wonder if each one of those is a graded band, and it is a flood. And so before that time, they only thought there was one Missoula flood to be counted about their old night that you have done. And then the water kicked down the gorge. There was another constriction at the downs. I was late on it. But you can hear, this is just before we did up to the downs. This whole area was filled up with water. The flood was that big. And then over at the top of it, the water came down, did not form the gorge. The gorge is already formed, but it's still there as a result. Came down in through the Portland area. Here is the Bonneville landslide. That is that's where Bonneville data built up along the side of it. That came down a long time after the actual Missoula floods. But that whole valley, we just widened by the Missoula floods. So that here's Beacon Rock. That's the heart of an old volcano. The whole volcano, with all those floods coming down from the Missoula floods, just scoured away, just leaving the Senator Park there. Here is Rooster Rock. Another similar, this is actually a piece of basalt that came off down here. The floods that rolled away, and then the water came into the Portland area. It came through, we calmed down. Then you see the big Andy puffs down here, came through Oregon City, and it filled up with the Willamette Valley, and then the water came back out, came through and created a big Yeti out here. It's Columbia Ridge. It's a pendant bar that was formed as sediment is caught back a Rocky Butte. Another pendant bar over here as it came out in Proof Hill, and the Lama slave, and it formed Mill Clay pendant bar that you have got here. And so all of the topography in the Portland area is a result of one flood after another that we have here. And then that everything filled in, then it come back out, and then it came back down through Oregon City. It couldn't turn left as the river does. It had to come all the way out here and down Kellogg Creek and through the east side, Portland, east side commercial district. That is the major way that the water came out, then it hit Swile and had the big eddy curve that is there. So all the landforms that we have in the Portland area are a result of the Missoula floods from the past. So there's Long Island up here. Thank goodness for past students. This is what Portland would have looked like with the floods today. And then if you look at the rock around here, the poor kids growing up in the Portland area, it's basalt, salt. Even the other rocks are basalt. But now and then you'll see a big wine rock. What is it? It's granite. And there is no granite around here. It's been brought in on ice rafts from the Missoula floods. And it's so sometimes that we get to do those for the quarries, so that is exciting. It's not worth
Trying.
And the most famous of all of the ice raft erratics is the Lyman meteorite, which was found at 400 feet elevation just outside of Oregon City. And it is believed that it fell onto the glacier up in Canada. It came down on the ice raft in the Missoula floods, and then it melted right there. And then it was taken in 1905, I think, to the World's Fair that was in Portland. And then eventually it was bought, and then it's now in the New York Museum of Science and Industry. But it was found right here in Willamette, and we believe it was ice rafted where it is today. And there's Lake Oswego carved out on Missoula floods. And used to be there is a large shopping center where my wife goes all the time, right next to the end of the Lake Oswego. Bridgeport. Well, before, in the 1990s, I used to take my students here, and you could see all the veils, all the things. Here's Lake Oswego over here, and then they filled it all in, built Bridgeport on top of it. So I lost my incredible place there. But if you go north, just a little bit north, some of the road beds, which are now vegetated, you'll see fine-grade sediments, coarse-grade sediments, fine-grade sediments, and coarse. Each one of those is a different Missoula flood. With rapid water coming through that particular area in that area. And then if you go into the West Hills, it's all silty soils. That's what we call loess, L-O-E-S-S, wind-blown silt. After each one of the floods, you had all that silt going up. And then there would be maybe 100 years in between each one, or 200 years, and you'd have a soil. Because you get buried soil and buried soil, lots of buried sediments in there. And so many of my students have drilled down and gotten all these data those, and it's kind of fun to see all of those. So you can see that the water came down and through, filled out the Twilight Valley, and then the water for each one of the floods came down through Gaston and then back into Willamette Valley or to Sherwood or to Oregon City, and then eventually he came. So all of the topography of Portland is formed by the water jumping in or the water going back out. And then it filled up the Willamette Valley. All of our gray soils that we have in the Willamette Valley are all a result of Missoula floods. And that beautiful silt that we have on the top, and it's just great for growing wheat and everything. Yeah, and the cherries and apples and everything like that, but not grapes. Grapes have to be above the Missoula flood sediments because they need to have poor nutrient soils. Missoula flood sediments are very too nutrient rich. Also, you have a lot of rocks that is big rocks that are granite. They're rocks that are not found right here. It is basalt. On the way to the coast, the Bellevue Rabbit is an argillite. It's a metamorphic rock. It came all the way on an ice raft, all the way from up in Montana. And then as you go down a Willamette River, and I wish it's blocked out, you can see big red soils of the oldest surfaces that were here before. And very exciting when you see all of that. So the water came down, they went out into the ocean. All that water went all the way down to the edge of the border plate, because this is the Wataupuca plate here, and then behind sediments from the Missoula floods all the way down to the Mendocino Fault, all the way down here, which is kind of fun. But then those are the Missoula floods, 15 to 20,000 years ago. But then a couple of my students studied very soil along road cuts in eastern Washington. We found out that these Iron Age floods actually occurred all the way through the Quaternary, the last 2 million years. And all of these soils in the road cuts are all a result of Erica and Kat. Those are my two grad students, PhD, master, studying all these. This is all calcium-carbon. It's what we call that tells us the composite locator is bulbous, 500,000 years old. And I'm not going to get into all the. So now, all of eastern Washington, you've got all these road cuts that have all these stories. There's the Yakima River. You go out in the sediments, they're right up at the top. And there's calcium carbonate that's holding all the sediments together. That is at least 50,000 years old. That's an older flood than the Missoula floods that I was talking about before. In fact, there's area, it's hard to see, but there's some violators all the way through 14 major floods all the way through the Quaternary. So lots of floods in the past. And all my studies always come back to wine and the terroir of wine. I wish I could give you the 3 different pinots on the 3 different soils here, and you could taste the differences in them, but we don't have time for that. But the volcanic soils, the red soils, are above the Missoula flood sediments. That's where the best pinots are grown. But on Missoula flood sediments, that's where everything else is grown down below. But then, so you stay above, here in the Willamette Valley, you stay above the Missoula flood sediments for the great pinots. But then you can go up to Washington and you say, Scott, here is a beautiful vineyard up here on Missoula flood sediments. Well, those... here in the Willamette Valley, we use the soils to kind of reduce the vigor in the grapes. Eastern Washington, they use condom. It's very, very dry out here. Differences in the terroirs in the Pacific Northwest. 95% of all of the vineyards in Washington are on Missoula flood sediments, whereas here in Oregon, only 10% of them are on the Missoula flood sediments. 90% are above because you want to stress the grapes. And then so you have these incredible floods that came down through here, all the way across eastern Washington, down from the Gorge, into here, and now then to the ocean. And that's the story that we have. In case you fell asleep at the beginning, how did I talk about? Well, first of all, there were 89 plus floods, 40 of them getting down in Portland. Velocities up to 60 miles an hour. In that case, flows. If you take some of the flows of them, have so many cubic meters per second. If you took all of the cubic meters per second of all the major rivers in the world and added them all out and multiplied by 10, that's how much you're talking about. These were catastrophic floods that we've never seen in modern history. And having it 16,000 square miles here in the Pacific Northwest. The maximum was, the first one for the biggest one, over 530 cubic miles of water that came down. And this was between 15 and 18,000 calendar years ago. And then actually, we had a lot of these before, all the way through the Quaternary, the last 2 billion years, the ancient cataclysmic floods. The question always comes out, were humans around at this particular period of time? And possibly, but all of it, where were the people, the early people have been? Along rivers. And all the floods would have wiped out all of those at that time. But we do have some sites here in Central Oregon that go back to 30,000 years. And so definitely they could have been. They have the story of the cataclysms on the Columbia, the Great Missoula floods. And thank you very much. And if we have any questions, thank you for the invitation.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Since we have all these floods and Oregon City's an old city, and we've run out of land, can we possibly build on some of this area that's known as slides? Is that feasible to build on?
You can build on the slides, but the rule of thumb that we have studying many slides is that if it's moved once, it has high potential for moving again.
Okay.
Now, the good news is in the Portland area, all of the geotechnical engineers and engineering geologists, almost all of them are my students. And they took classes at Portland State. They know about landslides because you have the native landslides here in the Oregon City area, and we studied all of those. Newell Canyon. Yeah. I got 3 theses out of Newell Canyon. And so We tell people if it's moved once, it has the high potential for moving again. Don't build on it. But I mean, there's some geotechnical engineering companies will say they understand those things. They with aluminum piling stuff like that, they may be able to reduce that. So the potential is out there. But you, as your maps show whether the old landslides are. We always say don't build on an old landslide, just because it has that high potential for moving again. And it's only periodically when we get these huge atmospheric rivers coming in that we get huge amounts of water and reactivate. If it's moved once, it has the high potential for moving again. Good question.
Okay.
Yes.
So after the peak flow, when did it get back to steady state? Days or weeks or months later?
Oh, you mean for peak flow from the
duration of Egypt floods?
Oh, yeah. Well, because you're back to the because each one of those peak floods was from the empty of glacial Lake Missoula. So it was just back to the flow of the Columbia River at that point. And the Willamette.
So how long was it at cinematic stage?
Probably 2 to 3 weeks later. I mean, it was probably back to the way it was before, especially in the lower parts down here. But all the damage had already been cut. So, and the nice thing with modeling, we can actually do that. And the over in Vancouver, U.S. Geological Survey over there, they've actually modeled the floods. And each one of the floods, and the dam is this high, and then there's one, and the volumes, and we have papers on that because it now somehow it's happened. So we have answers to that. But good question.
What about the speed it is traveling?
Oh, we are talking 50, 60 miles an hour. And I take people up to the Columbia Gorge, and you can't outrun it. No, in no way. And we'll go up Chanticleer Point with the state forum. We look down and I say, this filled up almost all the way to the very, very top. There are probably hundreds of Native American settlements up and down the Columbia River. And they were all wiped out by those floods. And some of the later ones actually, which were smaller and smaller because they kept on getting... The dam was smaller and smaller. The Native Americans talked about where they could row across the Willamette Valley from one side to the other in a canoe. And so that was probably one of the last floods that came down. So Native people were here, but the early ones were like that. Good questions. And yet?
So any indication of where in the city was how high the water got? Was we completely inundated?
I mean, the lower part was completely inundated. In the Portland area, we have deposits, and we've got maps out of the sizes of those lights. And actually, one of my students, Bill Burns, who works for the State Geological Survey, has a map for the Portland area, and you see the height of the Missoula flood sediments that you have got. And and it's have that map.
I just wondered because there's that steam from the top and the bottom. I'm curious as the water went down, did it create a lot of our depth or the angles of our city that we currently have?
And a lot of here in town as a result of the last Missoula flood that you had here, and each one building up upon it. And then since that time is fall, the last and water events that you had, but the big ones, the topography of this area goes back to the Missoula floods. It's exciting. We take our students into the air photos and take a look now, even with LiDAR. It's just like, wow, you see where the floods came down here in this area. It's a very exciting thing for geologists that all this LiDAR see through the trees and see all the landforms of the ant. So, anything else? Yes.
How could the deniers ever said the floods didn't exist? The stratification was obvious.
A lot of people were very strongly religious, They did not believe that there was only one flood, and that was Noah's flood. And I mean, it's still even in the late 1800s and early 1900s, and so they had to deal with this. And when you're getting out and and writing a paper about a catastrophic, huge flood like this, you can't.
It's the lightning rod.
Yeah, it is. And so those are some of the people that were saying no. But eventually, you have more. You have so much data out there, and all you have to do is just drive across eastern Washington or up the gorge, and it's just Mother Nature shouting out for you. Wow. We live in an environment that really had some dynamic floods in the past. So that's it. Good. Well,
He does have a question online.
yep.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I was so wrapped up in what you're saying. I know that when we talk about flood areas and we want to build on them, and you are so familiar with Oregon City, I know that in geological ratings, would be low, possible, and then you get worrisome, and then you get moderate. And moderate is quite unpredictable and probably shouldn't be built on, correct?
Yes, and that's why we we have high, moderate, and low, and so moderate shows in some areas that there are examples of floods in the past. Not many of them, but they are there, and so you have moderate things. So high areas, you just don't build in those particular areas. Low, and they're okay, and so. You just have to, when you can find those things, who is doing the mapping, people, they have to, you have to know what they are talking about in those particular cases. When you are making decisions about where to build and where not to build, flooding is one thing, landslides is another thing. You guys got both of them here. So it's
yeah, we're very slippery slopes, and thank you very much for explaining it to us. I just know that there's a lot of properties that are for sale all around Newell Creek. Two of them, which have slid on the end of my little Dewey Street, and they're still up for sale, and more lots with them. And they've already slid twice that I've known in my years that I've lived here, and that's only been 40 years, 50 years on this block.
anyway, that you're talking about. So, and then Oregon City has the greatest concentration of landlines of any city in the state of Oregon, and we've studied. And
Plant our trees, get rid of the ivy. Thank you very much. I'll turn off my mic.
all right, anything else? Okay. Well, I'm going to give you back a mic. Thank you very much for the chance to make a presentation to you tonight, and keep up the good work. I brag about you guys all of the time because you guys are so advanced prepared communities in the state of Oregon, and it goes back to some of the decisions you got to put in fucking 30 years ago. So thanks a lot.
Thank you, Lyman. I have taken a road trip using Scott's map, Missoula floods, and followed it. It was a fabulous little road trip if you ever want to do that. Do you have any of your books, or can people buy your books, or?
Yeah, I brought some books. I mean, I've got a book out. Cat Close to the Cliffs on the Columbia, the Great Missoula Floods. There it is.
It's a nice book. Very good book.
And I rewrote it. The John Allen and Marjorie Burns wrote the first version. They only talk about one flood. And after John died, then I rewrote it. And then Marjorie, everybody says that it's after her wife. No, but our grandparents lived across the street from one another on U.S. Grant Place in Portland, right next to Grant High School. So our grandparents were friends. And then she was married to the person I replaced at Portland City Land, Paul. And so there's a connection there. But she helped write the first book, but not the second one. So this is the book called Cataclysms on the Columbia.
What's that go for?
It's $25. And all I actually have some on if anybody wanted to buy it. So, but you guys got meeting to go. You want to buy one?
Yeah, well,
I have ugly something. And so, anybody else interested?
yes.
Okay.
They were really good bricks, yeah.
Well, it is wonderful, and it's all about Northwest. So,
And it takes them a while to transition from one speaker to the next. And the next we have Jarrod is up about the Trails news update. Yeah, that's going to be a big landslide. Yeah. Yes.
I know, I'm not a whole either, so I can't remember. I'm small, but not something small. Yes,
rude.
all of the sales stick, but you guys thought what so
And there was
I only have 20 and 4 for us. Or one.
there was a speaker, and she did somebody else want you want one, right? Okay, you're right. Like she
I know.
No, you hear the
Yeah, so that's what I found with the refrigerator. It's visible and show off the ball.
And you're scared tape. It's like this.
That was my recipe.
I'm starting to get
wait, so the few pound days in the pop that you mentioned about that. Sounds good. You can definitely out each several the doors there. Sure. Thank you.
And so I'll move you out early down in the pies on it. Or else.
Yeah, you're also if it is that
Yeah, look at your the way. Hang on.
Oh,
Please.
wait.
Oh, yeah.
look at the CIC helping local commerce. I like that. Happy New Year, everybody. I can't believe it's 2026 already. Has anybody written the wrong meeting down yet? Oh, yes. All right. Good. Okay. That's not just me. So what Hannah has handed out to you, thank you, Hannah, for doing that, is a mop-up of what the new trail news is going to look like. Trail news continues to be residents' preferred method of receiving information. We do the biannual liquidity survey every 2 years, and it continues to be at the top of the list of how people receive their information. 49% choosing the trail news followed by social media with 43, then the city website at 18%. So yeah, there are people like trail news. It initially started in the year 2000, and it was a way to promote programming in the Parks and Recreation Department. Since then, as you've seen, the size of the scope has grown quite a bit. If you think of the magazine that you get every quarter, that links go, got just a few pages to 42 or 44, depending on how much stuff we have in there. As everything else is, the prices are going up, costs are going up. And as I'm looking at these things, there's a couple issues with trail news. There's, again, the cost, but also the fact that due to the A, production timeline, and B, how long the vaccine has to be good for on the shelves, we're getting information, we're asking for information sometimes 4 months in advance of what's supposed to be in trail news. It's kind of hard to provide timely information on that. So if you look at trail news, a lot of times it's, or the evergreen content or charts and tables and things showing, static information, nothing really update-wise. So my thought was, okay, if we're going to put all this resources towards trail news and time and money, let's
make this thing be something that is more timely or accurate, gets information out there in a really engaging way. So I put together this draft here. This is a 11 by 17 tabloid newspaper format trail news that come out monthly. I know. This is actually the second demo I put together. Arnie thinks I made him got myself to the bar and never take a vacation again. But it really was exciting to put this together, to see how it works, and to really see how we can bring some very important information in a medium that people enjoy. Not everybody gets Facebook. Not everybody's on it. Facebook's algorithms may not show it to people. So, I mean, or the times I get comments from something on a post where somebody says, well, I didn't know about this until now. It's like, I'm sorry. The algorithm showed it to you a week late. I mean, it's an unfortunate thing. So this will be mailed to every resident and every business within Oregon City. So in the process of working on this, I spoke with the printer and found out there's a different mailing method we could use that gets rid of us mailing it to people outside of the city limits. But if we do, and I can't remember the terms, and this is very deep stuff he was throwing at me, my head was kind of spinning. But basically, this saturated for the mailing, if we do every address, it could still get almost as cheap a rate as we did with the other mailing format. So between all those, the cost of this is going to be about the same as what the quarterly magazine is. It's something that will come out monthly with some better information. And if everybody looks at the very last page, you will see that we have the meeting announcements for the neighborhood associations. We now have something that is going out to everybody at every address, everywhere. You no longer have to do postcards. If it's my girl who was a platinum, yay, say yay. So the thought process on this is, people look for trail news. I mean, it's something that, again, the survey show people look more to get in trail news. They use that as a source. We can now have this spot a dedicated spot, so everybody knows this is where I can find out what's happening in my neighborhood association with the meetings and the other neighborhood associations. So this will go out every month. Ann and I will work with you on the timeline for when information needs to get to me every month for what meetings. Now, if for whatever reason you can't get the information to me fully in time for me to include a couple elements of the agenda, just as those kind of hooks to get people there, I can still put the meeting. But I'd like to put a couple items on the agenda on there as well, as you'll see, updates from PD, Aquas Fire, and so forth on some of those meetings. So that way it kind of gives people, that reason why they should go. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to free up some time on the postcards for you guys, for Anna, for dealing with all of those. The one thing that we'll be looking at is starting next year, since we're not going to be doing the postcards, is we're going to reallocate some of those funds from CIC back to the general fund that would normally go to postcards. I know that sounds scary, but when we look at it, right now, I can't remember the exact percentage, it was like 95, 96% of the CIC budget goes to postcards. Now, with the remaining $20,000, that's unallocated. You can do with that what you want. A-frame size. You can even use it for neighborhood events like ice cream socials and stuff like that, something to bring the neighborhoods together. This actually gives us more flexibility with the dollars that are there, as opposed to almost everything being put towards these postcards. So we're trying to kind of combine some of these efforts, get this out there, help you guys, and then also get the trail news information out there in a way that I think is going to be more effective. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Jarrod, what would the budget for CIC be then?
It'll be 20,000.
Be 20,000.
Yeah.
For the entire,
For
all of the neighborhoods.
Yeah, for you, all the neighborhoods. Yeah, that leaves because when we were looking at that, we wanted to make sure there was like 1,000 for each neighborhood for A-frames and stuff, and then there's plus some.
Yeah.
So there'll be future conversations on how we're going to do the allocations, but that is.
Why are we just now hearing about this? It seems like this is all decisions already been made and finalized and everything, but sometimes you like to be part of the procedure rather than told what to do. Why is this coming up that way? Kind of upside down.
There was a lot of experimentation to see if this was going to be feasible. And me putting this thing together and seeing if we're going to have staff capacity and so forth. And then also presenting it to the commission, because before I have any conversations with anybody else, I want the commission to know what we're looking at, what we're doing, and getting their input there. And as Commissioners Marl and Wilson could tell you, they were really enthusiastic about the new design and wanting to move forward. Just by the nature of when the meetings came out, I couldn't get this to you until the new year. But this only went before the convention, I think in December, correct?
Yeah.
It feels like a year ago, but
There's a that work session.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And do you feel that you're going to have enough news to fill this up every month, or?
I really think I can. I mean, there's an eventuality or possibility of something happening where it's stress, slow month or whatever. I could cut it down to 4 pages if necessary, and that'd be even actually cheaper to produce. But I really don't think we'll have too much trouble filling up the publication.
Okay. So for the end of the year, or the probably goes into, is it June or July, the fiscal year, we still have our postcard money allotted to us. Is that correct?
Yeah, the money is still allotted to, yes, but we're not going to be doing any more postcards after this month. Because I'm sorry, I mean, I'd like to say that I broke my glasses and I can't read my notes. You might need to. The first edition is, my plan is getting this out for February. So I've already started work on the first actual edition. As you'll note, this was a little beta. This was for kind of December. But that's the goal.
So when's the deadline? Do you want me to start?
Yes, please.
And I'll be communicating all of this information out, not only via my follow-up email to all the citizen involvement committees, but also making sure I'm touching base with all of the neighborhood association chairs and their contacts. That way they have not only this information, but those who are going to be affected by the first deadline, they have that information as soon as possible. So the deadline for the February e-trail news is going to be January 14th. That's a Wednesday, January 14th.
And when does the publication actually reach me?
My goal is for the beginning of each month, within the first couple days. I'm still working on with the printer on timelines and so forth, but that's the goal right now.
Sure.
But I mean, there's some flexibility here. This is a bit of an experimentation, so things may shift. But that
absolutely. No, I think it's a great idea. Is we have some neighborhoods that don't decide until the kind of the last minute, whatnot. So it's just going to take some getting used to, some more planning ahead, and that's one thing. But we've kind of already been starting to do that with lotting all those cards together and that sort of thing. So.
And I think this is a really good push to, I know there's been a lot of conversations about moving towards utilizing the webpage that we have. As you can see on the back, Jarrod's made sure to include a QR code. Some of you already include that QR code on their postcards. Now people will be directed to the webpage where information can be updated whenever you send me updates. Utilizing those email subscribers that we have to be pushing out messaging. There's also a way for residents to sign up for text notifications to be updated on when neighborhood association meetings are happening through the integrated calendar through the webpages. So even though I know that there is definitely going to be a challenge in, all of you are volunteers, not only on the citizen involvement committee, but with the beer neighborhood associations as well. So I have the understanding, Jarrod has the understanding that you're not always going to be able to provide detailed information of when your agendas are, but you can now send me your agendas that I can make sure are posted online or updated onto your web pages. So I'm excited for that potentially to be more of resources that the neighborhood associations are.
Amy?
Thank you. Hey, I don't do, so I'm just going to ask some really basic questions. So it's not only, but first of all, this is beautiful.
It's beautiful. I really love it. Thank you. I do want to temper your expectations. This was printed in house on printer paper. This is going to be on a flasher newsprint, kind of like the inside of Trail Loses. So it won't look quite like this, but it'll be very similar.
Oh, either way. So, and this is just the same cost as the way it was being done before, even though it's on plate.
Correct. The cost within a couple of dollars either way.
Wow.
Paper prices are pretty volatile. It's kind of does the same thing as oil prices. It's not as bad as it was right after the pandemic, but it is still kind of goofy. So the prices will flex a little bit. But right now, I'm looking at within a margin of like $2,000 up or below where we're at now.
What is the current amount the city would like to give the CIC? What was the previous amount?
Okay, currently with the current budget, the CIC has allotted $45,000 each year. It had been prior 30. It was 30. Thank you. 30,000. This will actually, again, those pretty much everything of that was spent on postcards. It'll now be $20,000 for next year. We're not touching this year because half of it's already been spent. If we pulled it away, then it'd be gone. So next year it'd be $20,000, but none of that is devoted to the postcard stuff. Right now, everything goes for.
So next this year, is a way to add 25,000 to the general fund.
Correct. Very.
Betty? Next year, what? Is it June, July, January?
Yeah, July through February.
Okay. So my question is, I have a couple. So you're going to give us $20,000. We're going to divide it up however we want. And then we can go buy A-print signs that will say garage sale here.
I would prefer it not. It'll be still A-frame signs for your neighborhood meetings and so forth.
So ice cream is okay,
Yes.
but not garage sale.
Correct. Well, okay. When you say garage sale, you're talking about like a community event.
Yeah.
Project. Okay, I see where you're going. I'm sorry. I thought it was just like Bob's garage sale.
No.
I don't know. Let me get back to you.
Okay. Because Gaffney Lane was trying to come up with signs because we started a neighborhood garage sale.
My initial thought is that it'd probably be okay. Because I mean, the point is like a neighborhood event to bring the neighbor together. My initial thought is probably okay, but let's not put out an ink yet.
Okay. Okay. And then there will be no postcards for February. Correct.
Correct. Because right now, February, the newsletter, the trail news will be mailed out for February. Should be getting mailed out since the beginning of the month if my timeline stays true with the purchase.
So can I ask that you ask city commissioners who are maybe here tonight that they put one more postcard out as on the postcard advertise? No more postcards mailed out. You're going to get your neighborhood news in the new format. And just one-time postcards for all of the citizens so they know, because everybody relies on the postcard. As we all know at our meetings, everybody relies on the postcards coming in the mail. Well, starting February, they're not. Good. And that is a real
It's a good idea, but
fast turnaround. But if you could do one more postcards, commissioners, and if you could take it back to your group and just ask one more postcard for everybody, and on it says however you word it. Then you guys can do for your neighborhood news. You will be looking at the new Trails news. You know what I mean?
Okay, why don't you make a motion and I'll second it.
I don't know that we made a motion, but you know,
I'm thinking the same thing. Myself, I take that postcard and I clip it to my calendar as a double reminder. If I'm on the board, just saying.
Why wouldn't you just mail this and say at the top, this is to replace the postcard?
but how many
Well, you
people?
So they could fit in. Oh, sorry.
I think it's going to work just fine. People are going to get this in their mailboxes. They're going to not know what that is because it's a whole brand new format, right? But I think personally you have to prepare people.
So I thought, real quick, if I interject and then Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, if we're not using CIC budget for the rest of the year, if you guys want to spend part of your budget on one final mailer or postcards, I don't see why that would be an issue.
That it was going to be my input. Is that the CIC's budget for the remaining year of until June 30th, 2026 is the CIC's budget. So if your neighborhood association had their allocated funds, just like before, your neighborhood association can spend those funds however you wish.
I understand that and I get your point, but I'm thinking it has to be a citywide.
So Eddie, we can do that, right?
Yeah.
We can just do it as us.
Yeah.
And just
So who's gonna create the content, and then can we just copy and
I
paste?
have a friend.
She's awesome. What is that? Or what you found out? What wording for it?
Million postcard. It's not. It would be. I would have to do calculations, but that would be the other benefit in us doing a whole group mailing and get that discounting rate.
That's what
Oh
I.
yeah, we'll get that.
If you could just do one mass mailing, 1st of February, send it out. Sarah's gonna give you all the wording.
I do have a question. So for recognizability of people who are used to receiving a postcard with a certain look, do we want to do it all, me do it for everybody? Or should it look more like your traditional postcards that
Should look more like our loving.
And I'll tell you what, because this is all going to tie into trail news and so forth, I feel like I should take a little ownership on the branding and stuff. But that said, what I'll do is I'll make one that looks like what the postcards and neighborhood associations do. I'll handle the wording and so forth of that, but we'll forward it out there. It looks like that, and I'll try to get out there for February, so it's giving them a little bit of the warning before the trail news. Just like, hey, look for this.
Thank you.
If that's something that we're doing, since CIC funds would be utilized for that, I would want there to be a formal vote.
Okay.
As a step out there.
I would Ryan.
Yeah, I do have a question. I think it's going to be a color.
Yes.
It's going to be color.
Yes.
Okay. And then the deadline that you mentioned for the 14th of January, would that be consistent every month? Basically, would be like February 14th.
What day is that at? Is it basically like
Wednesday.
it's like the second or third Wednesday is when I send them these letters. Like
Are the days that all the days have to be due?
Yes. Yeah. And then
That's the Wednesday of each month.
for as of right now, again, there's a lot of things that are still like staff have contributed to. We haven't had a full production. Jared's printed these all in-house. We haven't had like a full production of what does it look like to produce monthly trail news. So I think after that is when clear deadlines can be communicated. It's going to be kind of a workshopping for the next.
yeah, I'm saying the same thing to you that I said to the team at the city is, we're going to be changing. Things are probably going to change. We're going to feel our way through this. Things will fit. So, and as long as we're all flexible, the stick won't break.
It's not forewarn everybody.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be just the postcards. It's also going to be the trail news.
Yeah.
Donna, with the postcards that we send now, we put what's coming up on the meeting. Who the local businesses we're talking, who our guests are, what they could expect, what their homework is. We should check your minutes. Here's the QR code. Are we going to have the opportunity to?
I think we are. I think this is what we have to get to Jarrod, or who would be doing this. So this is just a sample of things. So if you're putting special things in there, I think you can put your
You got
information.
all that stuff that's right there.
Yeah, all that.
You would be able to put all of that.
And then again, I'll just emphasize that QR code will be the one QR code that links to your webpage. And then your webpage is where all of that other information.
Oh yeah, and then this is the done enough content.
I can post all your minutes. I can post your agendas. Like I do that for for a neighborhood association. Their agenda has been updated, and you can communicate with me. Hey, Anna, I won the agenda actually posted in a link up in this area. I work with Chris. He's over Westlake Bar. Their website is very in depth. And I think it's a great resource to kind of look at to see if, okay, we want to direct people to our one page. What are the resources we want to provide? Similar to what you do on your post. But now you have unlimited.
Okay. And then is this the actual piece that's going out? No, Edward?
No, and this was printed in house on the house printer. I couldn't to do a run through the printer. They needed to do like at least a minimum of like 5,000.
Yeah.
And it was going to cost so much. I'm like, no, without actually doing it. So it'll be on New Spring. The paper will be similar to what is the interior of the current trail loose.
Okay, so it's like I have a neighborhood association meeting scheduled for January. Your postcard is being set up. If you have a neighborhood association meeting scheduled from February on, you need to decide in the CIC what you want to do as far as that last notification. But your individualized neighborhood association postcard won't be distributed out. It'll be found in the trip.
One for February, for what I've got at Neiman Park Place. So, and that forward to the end of the things.
And Hannah, I don't think this makes any difference. And I know this is my fault. The date on here is the 20th, but
Yes.
fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a month up.
Yeah, but that was a, it's always,
It's a my
yeah.
I own it. That's good. Kathy?
I was just curious, are you gonna still do like quarterly stuff with when the pool happens and the
We're also, Brad, and I failed to mention that. Apologies, big question. I'll be working with Parks. We're going to be doing a rec doc that'll come out with that information. We're just looking at how often, how it's going to come out, so forth, and a lot of that information.
things? I like it also.
Yeah, and I folded it the other way. Is this way it'll be mail?
I don't think it'll be the other. I believe it'll be the other. Well, that part, it shouldn't be the accurate stickers go there on the back, and then
It'll be under stickers go like this.
I think so. I've got to work with the printer on the final layout of that.
Well, you got the postal permit on the page.
Is it okay? Thank you.
Where is it?
The postal permit's on the page as well.
I have our prior trail news designer make me a template so I can plug and play stuff and move things around. And I didn't touch those things. So yeah.
See, I sort of like it like this because then the association is
right up. It's right there.
But it goes
Yeah, but they would lose the trail news at the front.
Who cares about that? We're talking about
Me?
it's not all about you, Jared.
Yeah. All right, which one of y'all to the layout?
Are there any other questions? And do we want to take a vote back to Betty's idea of using our funds for one last postcard? Do we want to do that?
So I'll move to create have Jarrod create a postmark mailing for all citizens on our lists to let them know that we're not going to have future postcards and to look for the new monthly trips.
And I don't know, are you going to also explain this concept to them? They'll take them to.
And I will briefly, with the limited space of Paul, explain that trail news is changing in there as well.
Okay. So, yeah.
So all in favor?
hold it. I'm sorry.
Hey,
I was waiting for discussion.
okay, we're discussing.
Will the expense of this set back anything that you have in your mind for the plans to put?
Oh, it's our money.
It's
our money.
That doesn't affect anything at all.
It's our fund.
Yeah. The trail news budget.
Here, I understand it's our money, well, but I wanted to make sure that we are not trying to be able to do something that's going to impede the progress that this represents.
Two separate line items of the budget, so they don't really intermingle.
No,
And we're
just wanted to make sure that would be the case.
I appreciate that.
Done. I completely understand why you want to brand this and have, that say, I get it. and I still am sort of stuck. So I'm hoping you can help me get unstuck in thinking that for it to catch our people's attention, each one of us, like my apartment has a very distinct look. It's yellow and it has these cute little white boxes. It's beside it, and it's beautiful. And that's what they're geared to. Something brand new. I'm concerned they won't look at it.
Well, I think we all, it'll take a second run on anything new, but that's why if you look, those colors that you see right there are the only places in the publication that those colors show up. And they had to help me with those colors today. I'm colorblind, so she needed to help me get that right. So what I would like to do is I'm going to look at the layout and see how things work and stuff. At the very least, link it to the website where it has. And I want to start by color coding the neighborhoods because those colors actually match what the current map is of the current fairness. So I don't know if I can fit that in this. I'm going to try. I'm going to play with options, but somehow we're going to get in that branding so that people know this is like the neighborhood corner. This is your. And look for that. And given that specific look, that my neighborhood is whatever color.
When you run this, I'm talking about the postcard. That's what you're talking about.
So that's what you're referring to. It's the white boxes. Yeah, I think Sarah's helped every one of our neighborhoods, so we're all doing the boxes.
That's several. Yeah, I guess I'm just asking. Is it off the table that we can send our own designed postcard with your approved verbiage so that our residents.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood your question.
Okay.
I think there's two options here. I think the first option is if you want to make sure that all of the neighborhood associations are notified in advance of the switch to the format of trail views, that Jarrod designs something and sends it out because there's not enough time for something to be designed and approved by everyone. So that's option number one. If you still want to make sure that your neighborhood association is being notified that there's going to be a change, you yourself, before your next meeting or at whatever time with the budget that's allocated within your neighborhood association, everyone sends out their own notifications.
I do intend following that design once, and so people are getting nice.
Yeah.
That is part of my plan is to kind of ease that transition.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Yeah.
And I think we do like the way this is folded. Here, veiled. Put this on the back. So, see the page. Was it something you wanted, Amy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe graphically, I think, and again, it's probably actually being on the back because people will recognize and it's on the news. It's just stuff I'd ever looked at. But you said something like neighborhood corner. If you rebranded what it said instead of upcoming neighborhood association meetings, but neighborhood corner, like this is still something of interest. I think it might help.
No, I'm glad you said that because I was kind of thinking that in my head, and for a little while, that was actually the first time I verbalized that. So hearing somebody say that they'd like that, I have no problem changing that.
Are there any other questions? Well, let's go back here one more time. Josh, can you make your motion one more time so we can all be clear our heads what we're doing?
So is for Jarrod to design a postcard for all of our neighborhoods. He puts out to doing per neighborhood or however he does it, really care, letting them know that we're switching over from the postcards to the new trail news that'll be coming down the road.
So,
And Saturday, set.
all in favor? Aye.
Oh, gotta do it in race.
All in favor? All opposed? And I'm abstaining? Dorothy, did you vote?
Yes, I did. I raised my hand.
Okay, we didn't see you. Now we hear you.
Are you okay?
Yeah, you said everyone raise your hand. That's an aye.
Okay, motion passes. Thank you. One more.
When do you intend to start this?
I've actually already started putting together the February editions, and it should be going out. Should be getting mailboxes if everything goes according to plan at the beginning of February.
So it shouldn't be the first. I'm just being clear. First, second week of February.
First week of February. Everything's okay.
Appreciate it, Jarrod.
Thank you.
Yes. One more question.
Our neighborhood doesn't meet very often. Like we only have 4 meetings a year. So can we put in like just events in here too?
I'm trying to stay away from events like that. Honestly, the number of requests I get for people to have us do our events, if you start doing it, it becomes a full-time job.
I mean, it could say South End is having a cleanup on the state for the neighborhood corner.
That might be something that we may actually do like little articles about in the other part. You'll see some stuff there. So there's elements like that. This one is this spot specifically for the meetings. That's where I want people to be able to know this is I go in for meetings in
Okay.
4 times a year is like it's standard. Otherwise,
For most of you. Yeah, okay. I don't know.
some people are overachievers though. So.
But here you could advertise that it all give me information to post things on the webpage. I can add it to your calendars. Emails can go out. Individuals, if it's on your calendars, will receive text notifications if they're signed up for text notes. So there's a lot of different avenues that I think now that time it isn't going to be dedicated to creating and producing these postcards, which is a lot of work.
Yeah.
Maybe time to be reallocated to making sure information is communicated to me so I can do my best to get it on all of the resources that are online that we can get out to you all.
Yes.
Donna? Hannah, just to be clear then, so the motion passed and Joe's going to design an awesome postcard. I know it's going to look good.
Yes.
And it'll be good. Can I still, if we choose to, send out our own within Cal Caulfield's budget?
That's going to be a conversation that we have moving forward starting next month is, okay, now that what updated budget sheet, what direction does the Citizen Involvement Committee want to go in allocating funds? Do we want to just take the remaining amount and split it across evenly, including the inactive neighborhood association? Or do we want to value a further conversation?
Or are you still asking to do one, still do a final one yourself?
I was asking if we could still do a final one ourselves.
Oh, okay.
And if we can't, it's fine.
And that'll be a conversation for the Citizen Involvement.
No, we are one of the largest neighborhoods. I'm not going to steal, and we're not going to do that.
Chris?
Just furthering that conversation that we will have in February when the funds that would remain or whatever we determine to use for it is split evenly. Is that just for communication purposes?
Yeah.
Or can we go to?
Well, I mean, it's similar to the way it is now. It's meant for marketing the meetings and so forth. But with remaining funds, we can also look at using it for a neighborhood event like we spoke about as well.
A-frames.
Yeah.
But also, I think
that is a full up.
What can you expand on what that would mean, Jarrod? What does not just bonus for communicating out about an event, but
Well, I mean, the A-frame signs or the ones you see in the yards type of things.
Oh, yeah.
but
I'm sorry.
aside from messaging, what can those funds be used for?
Oh, well, like the ice cream social or something. We wanted with this giving you some more flexibility. This is a chance to get the neighborhood associations together and get some of that neighborhood spirit or whatever that these I think were originally created for. So
that's going to make more of an impact for having those kind of things than any postcard will ever do. So the idea is that's a great idea.
And how will we advertise our ice cream socials if that's not to be a...
I think that will count it because those normally coincide with the meetings, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
here's what it does. It's student time, a meeting. We have an ice cream social, but we usually don't advertise it because we just want Kanema here rather than the entire...
Yeah. The cool part is we're all going to know about it.
Okay, tomorrow.
Like Linda in the past, I'm just sending emails out.
Yeah.
Your residents.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, very easy, just vanilla.
It's very easy. Got it.
Fine, the postcard I sent you today, as I can edit and get it to you tomorrow morning.
Yeah, absolutely. Great. I'm sold. Yeah. So I don't need to send out this next bulk mailing until Wednesday of this week. So you have until the end of the day on Wednesday.
Okay.
That's impossible.
So,
Any other conversation on the trail news? Are there any public comments? Moving on to elections. We'll be electing a chair, a vice chair, and a secretary. There's all that. I've been the current chair. It's been my honor to serve, but I'm not going to do this again. Okay? So I would like to nominate Josh to be the chair. Second, do we have any other nominations for a chair? Okay, so we have to do a roll call individually for people of what we're doing. So,
Okay.
do you want to do the roll call for yourself, John?
Sure. Didn't boss me.
Wait,
All right.
we have Kathy.
Yeah, this is my first time for your election. So do you tell us about the person that you're nominating? Or
Josh has been a great vice chair and a great help and for neighbor. I think he would be a great person for the chair. We sit together, we chat, we talk, we have these conversations. Josh checks all the spelling errors, which I don't. So the next time we won't be voting for a secretariat, but we will have all these things. I don't check these. Josh has all these, and he's just a great person too. I just would really think Josh would be a great person. He's very has a charisma. He's very detail orientated, and he's here all the time. And he's young, and he can take on and do all this. So I just think Josh would be great.
he's a spreadsheet guru.
Yes,
He's very operational.
I'm John's a Scorpio who likes long walks on the beach.
yeah. He lives in Hillendale, nice neighborhood. Yeah.
And you got it.
So I vote for Josh.
Oh,
Yes, and I.
yeah. Well, you're first.
I'm my first. Okay,
Okay. So Linda's the yes.
I'm in red. Yes.
I'm just, should you ask? I mean, Josh is my guy too, but should we ask for any other nominations?
We did. We did. We did.
We did do a little band thing.
Because I know, but our bylaws say we have to go. Yeah, so we got to do what the bylaws say, right? Okay, so we'll go fast.
Rita,
I am
Donna,
Josh.
and then John,
Yes.
Dorothy, Edie. Yes. Thank you. Choice Mayor Betty,
Yes.
Dwayne,
Yay.
Chris,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes, indeed.
me, yes. Tim,
Yes.
Ryan,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Kathy.
yes.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have our new chair. Now we need a new vice chair. A vice chair fills in if the chair is not here. Like to sit together, you can kick their nose, just there to support. So would someone like to be vice chair or have someone that would like to be vice chair? Let's not all speak up at once. I can only hear one person at a time. You get. Want me to appoint people or what? Well, Chris, I think you're pretty here a lot. I mean, you've been nice and you could sit there and have a lot to say and be able to fill in the report.
I want to quote Woody Allen. But the idea is just that I really can't take more on the point times. Thank you all for your thought.
So vice chair just supports the chair. Chair out there, he runs the meetings.
Correct.
Yeah, I did before. I just put the favor with us.
Do I hear a yes, Connolly, that John would like to step up and do
They're
this?
done. Gotta go on with can we do it? So,
Okay.
Especially to everybody's funding and just because we need to have a whole place to fill and get the job done.
I think John just volunteered. Do we hear a second or not? Second? Okay. All in favor of John. I vote for John.
Rita,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
John,
Okay.
Edie,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Dwayne, yes. Chris,
Yes.
Mark,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
me, yes. Amy, yes. Tim, yeah. Brian, yes. Bill, yes. Kathy,
Yes.
there you go. All right.
And now we need a secretariat for doing that. Sorry, not the secretariat. The secretariat, secretary. Well, I know, but it's spelled secretariat. So Josh will take care of that. So Josh will take care of that. But the secretary does the roll call. And they're here in the present for all meetings, and it's an important job to be here. And Dennis was an excellent secretary for many years, and he has gone to other things, doing different things. So looking at people to look back at me.
Donnie.
I'll emphasize too, you don't take meeting minutes as a secretary of the citizen. Well, maybe
You.
I do those.
And these are, okay.
Oh, you do the minutes?
That can be time consuming. That's a responsibility on you.
So the,
No, I nominated Donna.
okay, second.
Did Dot accept?
She did.
Oh,
With the authors, just say no.
It got no minutes.
Yeah.
I know. Think about that, Donna. No minutes. Celebrate that moment.
Okay, I vote for Donna.
Okay, Rita,
Yes.
Donna,
Yes.
John,
Yes.
Dee Dee,
Yes.
Betty,
Yes.
Dwayne, yes, Chris,
Yes.
Mark, yes, Sarah,
Yes.
me, yes, Amy,
Yes.
Tim,
sure.
Ryan, Bill,
Yes.
and then Kat.
Yes.
There we go.
Okay, we have our new next meetings. Approval of minutes, which the secretary did not take. Has everyone read those? Move to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone?
Aye.
And abstain? Communication, social media working group. Because that's Emma.
Betty,
Me.
Okay.
Okay. Our next meeting for Daphne Lane will be.
no, social media worker.
What?
Social media worker.
Oh, I think we have eliminated that because we have nothing new.
No longer exists.
Staff report.
Updates have been provided in the staff report. One item that I want to make sure that everybody is aware of is that the residential mailing, the occupant list in which postcard mailers are sent out to, that has been updated. It gets updated every quarter by our GIS team. That's been done. So the largest impact was the Product Place Neighborhood Association. There was 100 addresses that have been removed, but that's because of the Clackamas Heights redevelopment that's taking place. So just wanted to point that out. And the other thing that I will,
So those people aren't on the mail in anymore.
yes, because they're what then you'll see those residential addresses uptick again in Park Place once the Clackamas Heights has been redeveloped and there are residents back in that area.
I'm the street, you're gonna go with
Um,
Abandoned street, you're gonna chill with us.
Yes. The other thing that I'll notate is that it's not with the staff report. The If I Were Mayor contest is in full swing. So the City of Oregon City hosts this contest locally for students in 4th through 12th grade who either reside within the City of Oregon City or attend a school. Pretty much they either submit a poster, a essay, a multimedia contest. It's not in the staff report. I'll make sure to send information about this in my follow-up email. They submit to me by March. I forget the exact deadline. It is the 15th. Yes, March 15th. And then first place winner are not only receive a local prize, but they're moved on to the state level. The City of Oregon City have participated in this contest held for the past 2 years. We've had state level placement every year, which is pretty exciting. So it's an opportunity for students not only to kind of get to know their local government and understanding of what a mayor does, but also they can win cash prizes and be recognized not only at the local, but at the state level as well. So that's very exciting. And everything else is within my staff report. I'll just emphasize again, everything that was communicated out and decided by the CIC members will be communicated out to all of the neighborhood associations. And then moving forward at the next meeting, we'll have a larger conversation about how the CIC wants to reallocate the funds with the remaining funds they have for this fiscal year.
Budget update?
Any questions? Let's put them hand in hand. I did note that on the I was looking over that this morning for the budget report. Caulfield Neighborhood Association has $300 that isn't allocated for from when you had the size printed of some sort. And so I'll make sure that that's updated within the next. And that's the only thing that I see. Everything else is completely up to.
So we owe you 300 or do we have 300 extra?
There's an O, but it's word based on it was got approved. Yes, exactly. It just hasn't been budgeted out. It hasn't been on the budget line. So I just want to make sure moving forward that everything has been allocated for that way. We're dealing with real time funds. All of the January postcards should be on the budget sheet for February as well. Any other questions?
Spring Forward Community Resource Fair.
Vendor applications are open. I'm kind of opening this conversation for the Citizen Involvement Committee in general. Linda, I don't know if you want to touch base on how the CIC has participated in this event in the past.
It was wonderful. We had a little booth, a little table that Hannah's to set it up for us. And we had our sign there that letting people know over the neighborhoods we came through. And we had people again sign up. McLaughlin had their own booth and they were right next to us. And so we kind of helped each other with the tables back and forth. So I wish hindsight things to do that the CIC have something to pass out. Everyone else had candy or something to pass out. If we can, do something, then people are more likely to come over and talk.
That's something we could talk about at the next meeting.
Yeah. There's good things to do.
Funds can be used for that.
Okay.
So I guess my thing that I would just emphasize is making sure there's no vendor fees, but I do require all vendors to complete a vendor application. So having a member assigned to be able to complete that application would be best. And applications are due by February 6th.
And what date is that?
February 6th, right. And the date of the Spring Forward Community Resource Fair in general is Saturday, March 7th.
I nominated to reach Jarrod. Submit that. How about the
I get up to that. Yeah.
you're the nerd?
But it won't be at the thing. But I'd be happy to submit that.
There's this right here.
Somebody wants to be. Even Ryan apparently is going to be there. So perfect.
I'll be sure to send that to you.
Yeah.
And I'm already saw a lot of things. Okay, aside from that,
Round table. Should we start with Gaffney?
Sounds
Daphne Lane, round table. Wayne, help me out. Please. Our next meeting is January 20th. We did the steering committee meeting at
The Lutheran Church behind Winco, where the duck pond's at, off Myers Road.
It's a very nice location, and I think that if there's a disaster, you all want to find that church beforehand. And I believe,
Gaffney folks.
well,
In particular, it's a place to meet in the event of a major calamity. So we joined hands with the local, the new pastor, and she let us see the facility. There you go.
and I believe we're going to have Pete Walters at our January meeting, and we're going to be talking about parks because Gaffney Lane does not have a park, and people want to have a park there. And I think that was it.
Yeah. we've been determined as an underserved community as far as parks go. So fingers crossed on that.
So that's all we have. Thank you.
South End.
Little.
Sorry. I thought we were going by age and
Just,
our next meeting's January 22nd. We're aiming to do a roadside cleanup on May 2nd, but we want the association to approve that. But it's after schools get out, so it might be an interesting Saturday. Better weather than now. Other than that, I'm just told our vice chair to be ready to modify the postcard before we send it in, saying it's the last postcard. Wait, just in time. You know, works for us. Thanks.
Garfield, Donna.
Our next meeting is January 27th, although it appears I've told several people it was January 20th. So I do apologize for that. I think I'm the perfect person to be the secretary. We are pleased to host City Commissioner Scott Wilson and Mayor Denise McGriff at this coming meeting, and Seth Henderson, who is the developer that's tearing down the courthouse and building up the new structure. They are coming. And then in March, we're excited to host all 5 declared candidates of Oregon State Representative House District 4 to do a candidate forum. That being said, and I'm telling all my people in January, peaceful, calm, respectful.
What date you said? What date were you doing it?
That's going to be Wednesday, March 18th.
Is that going to be at the same church?
It'll be here.
Oh, you're doing it?
Yeah, we're doing it.
Kanima, we're having our steering meeting coming up in this week. So we'll be having a steering meeting to decide the agenda for our February meeting.
What?
Park Place?
We meet at Harlem Lake Hunters January 19th, an OK day. And they're walking by to check it out the demolition of the load from up Adams there to Factus Heights. And it's progressive. So they're putting in roads, things like that. So rub bases, face of feet, put together. They got rid of a bunch of trees. Working on all that stuff. So that'll be a year and a half. So
Do you have any idea what the price point is of the homes? Have they said what they are?
out the game, you know.
Okay, good.
Our
county also.
So the plan is so us the Oregon City, Great City Union there, and the ones up close to the Oakland School. Those people will be able to move in and we'll sell out another lot. So, and then there's development continuing around the old school. I alluded to it earlier, but if you don't know, on the street, it's supposed to be ending up at Hillside up there. So the Goose homes or something like that. Generally, July, August. So you can move into Park Place by one of those trees. Live close to me.
Hazel Grove? Chris?
Our next meeting is Thursday. This Thursday, January 8th, and we will be having two presentations. First is on scam awareness and prevention, presented by the Oregon City Police Department, and it'll be really good. Second one is development on the McLaughlin Elementary School. They're going to be entering into some renewal, and the place they're really trying to check off the idea of the 6 modular buildings that they will be placing, and they need to talk to us about that to get the check mark next to it. be, and the only question that basically comes out with that is not about placing them, because we all know the school has to go on. The kids need to be out of the construction area. Question about modulars is, where do they lead?
Yeah, that's right.
And so therefore, that's the real main question that's going to be asked about that. But other than that, it's really great to have both of those presentations, and we'll be taking a look at other stuff in the future. Right now, I think that's about it. What do you think? Yeah. Boy, you just are an economist with words.
Come on.
Hey, so Amy's not going to help me, so I'll move to herself. We'll be meeting Amy Seth Henderson as well with the on Thursday, this Thursday the 8th, to talk about the courthouse redevelopment happening. We'll also be meeting with the director of the County Community Development Organization, which is responsible for the housing in our neighborhood, London County housing. Yeah, we have some issues with some of those, so we'll be having that discussion. And we'll be voting for our neighborhood leadership during that meeting as well. So that's going to be good.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi.
We have our neighborhood meeting tomorrow here, and we are going to give them updates that we got from here for the Zipley fire deal and all that. Police and fire updates. Yeah. That's about it.
Got all those locators all over our streets, and nobody knows what's going on. So we're kind of private little.
You'll find out what it is.
It's with us.
Dorothy, do you have an update for Eveville? I think Dorothy has left the building.
She's doing good.
Are you online?
Okay.
It's okay. Now I'm back in. I'm sorry. We have our steering meeting coming up in February and our meeting in March 10th. We are hoping to have the county come in contact with us about the Clayton Moore building for a little bit more information about some problems that they've had. And we're hoping that there's a farm that has been purchased in our neighborhood. We're hoping to have Rick Reynolds come and talk to us a little bit about that. Also, we have contacted with the Oregon City Parks Foundation to see if our Oregon City Parks would reinvigorate the idea of planting a hedgerow and for building habitat that was removed when the Holmes Apartments came in at Stafford Road. We had applied for a grant, lost it, and now we think we have another source of plants, so we're trying to reinvigorate that. That's about it. I'm sorry we're using our postcard, but we'll deal with it.
Yeah, we all will. Yeah. Adam Scott?
So we have our first meeting of the year on Wednesday, and then have a special meeting to interview planning commission candidates. And then we aren't found to make any appointments that like that. We decide that we don't want any of their candidates and we want to go out again, then we have the right to do that. But we will be interviewing some candidates for that. And then our regular meeting follows that. The only other update I wanted to give is because there's been a lot of chatter on social media about the new exclusion zone on Main Street in the downtown area. And it's kind of interesting because on the one hand, there are people saying that we are now fascists. And then there are also other people on the other side who are saying, well, they're not going to do anything about it anyway. So why are they even trying? So just to clear up a few misconceptions, in just a baseline primer for those of you who
This may be news too. The City Commission unanimously approved the new policy along the Main Street corridor called the Civil Exclusion Zone. And it's basically a tool of last resort, emphasis on last resort, for repeat offenders in that corridor who the business owners all know, all of our officers know, because they're constantly getting calls about certain individuals. And so this is a tool that will allow the city to exclude them from that zone for a period of time. 30 days is the starting point. And if they are found in that area other than to receive critical services or to conduct legitimate business, then they will be arrested for criminal trespass, or they will be subject to arrest for criminal trespass. And just a few clarifications. It was asked, well, so you're just basically enforcing the law. No, the difference with this is that it provides a deterrent. Basically, as it was, let me correct myself, as it was, they could just keep coming back and committing the same crimes or whatever. But by having this, the threat of being subject to arrest for criminal trespass, just by entering it, that is a deterrent for these individuals to not keep committing those crimes. And so those people were always going to be dealt with according to the law, and those laws are going to be upheld. But people can go back and keep committing crimes as much as they want. And so by having a deterrent, that's our hope, is to help reduce some of those frequent flyers that we own. And just to be very clear again, this applies to everyone equally, regardless of if they have a roof over their head or not. This is not something that we're trying to do to crack down on any specific population, is because we're hearing time after time from our business owners and from their customers that there are legitimate safety issues that they are dealing with. And with the transition going on with the courthouse, we need to be doing as much as we can to make sure that it's a welcoming and vibrant area downtown. So I think those are the main clarifications that I wanted to make, but I see there's a question.
Do you want to, Adam, real quick, do you want to clarify about the services piece of that?
Yeah, so if there is, for example, someone who is seeking homeless services, and if the homeless resource center goes up on Main Street where the old Miles Fiberglass building was, they would still be able to go into the zone if they were excluded to receive those services.
Donna, I may word this wrong, so I hope we will get the gist of what I'm trying to ask. A while ago, I saw on the closed circuit TV of a city council meeting that representatives from the caring place were coming before city council asking for money, a donation of that they were. I think it was Dan Fowler. He was saying that it was hard for them because other donors would come in and say, "Well, is the city getting any money?" And I didn't know how that vote turned out. Do you know what I'm talking about?
So yeah, we're still, I think there are still outstanding conversations to be had about that. And I think that if anything, we decide that we don't have money to give, even if we wanted to do that. And so I think that the conversation down the line is whether there's a letter of support provided in lieu of that to show where the city stands. Personally, I can only support that if changes are made to the project. And as I said during that meeting, it feels disingenuous for the people who are pushing that project to move forward because they have the right to do whatever they want there because the city has no control over it, and move forward ahead without any input from the city because that's their right. But then when they realize that all these other donors are asking how the city feels about it, then they come to us asking for our support. I have a hard time with that. And so I would need to see changes to it and a lot of reassurances, again, going back to the struggles that our Main Street businesses are going through and the concerns that they have pretty universally communicated to me, at least. That would definitely be something we're considering now. The idea of it is something that I strongly support. I just wish that there could have been some more proactive conversations apart from them just realizing, oh, we need some money. How can we get them on board after the fact and after everything's been decided?
Thank you.
Scott, was there anything that you wanted to add?
I appreciate you bringing up this exclusion zone. That was the big thing I wanted to really, because again, I see lots of chatter online it's about that, and just I really agree. Like, it's a tool that other cities are already using. So those really was this evening. I know you're different. I struggled with an issue with the idea of barring somebody from a public area, right? But recognizing like we have legitimate concerns, and we want to make sure that we're supporting our businesses in our downtown corridor and maintaining a safe area, to where it gives the police an extra tool and in last resort to getting keep that safe.
Very good. Okay. This concludes.
Can I just do? I know. First is all the neighborhood associations have done a spectacular job of notifying me when they have new leadership within their neighborhood associations. If I can just have that moving forward, that would be awesome. I have all the confidence that would happen. The other thing is tonight we had a microphone. Do we feel like that was helpful?
Very helpful because people in the back, and I think it's just, were you able to hear back there?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People different levels.
Yes, they did.
Really soft voices. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those the ways.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I appreciate the microphone. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, because it's borrowed. This is a borrowed microphone. Moving forward, Roger, the CIC have returned. We won't be able to put it in the future consistently, but the thought was we'll test this out. If this is something that's a good investment, it won't come out of the CJC's budget. It'll come out of community engagement because there's other events that we can use it for. So just wanted to provide that update for you because I know that was something important. But
great. Okay. Meeting's adjourned. February 2nd. Yay! Yay!